Okay, hi everyone. So this is kind of impromptu. I just felt inspired to talk about something. I've got some noise. I got some noisy neighbors, unfortunately. My cat is eating, although she's walking below me now, so maybe she's done. She was harassing me. I just want to tell a little story from my life, something monumentally important that happened in my life, what was going on at the time, and something I did, and I don't know, and just like how it affected me, and maybe encourage you to think a little bit more carefully if you're in a similar situation, whether that be now, in the future. So basically, in my last relationship, um, which was years ago, I was like a year or two, like a year and a half, 2 years into that relationship. I could look it up, but I don't really care to right now. I'm petting my cat. Sorry, she's looking at me. Here, maybe I can pick her up. Anastasia, come. Oh, come on, come on. Here she is. Okay, I love you. Okay, sorry, I had to get that out of the way. She was staring at me. So, I came across some information that my ex had been cheating on me a few times. Um, which he would continue to do throughout our relationship. But I had to make a decision when I came across that information. He was not around when I found it. And, I had the ability to kind of conceal it and think about it for a little bit. So I said, okay, I'm going to give myself a day and I'm going to figure this out. Now, just for some background, I had been living on my own before I was with my ex. Fairly quickly, like a few months or so, maybe like 5 months, I don't know, into the relationship, his living situation changed, and I proposed the idea, like, why don't we move in together? So we did move in together, and that's where I was when I found out what was going on. So I had to make a decision. Do I stay with him? Do I leave? And in the process of making that decision, um, well, I'll tell you the decision that I ultimately came to. The decision that I came to was if he commits to therapy, like if he admits to this, commits to therapy, like I'm willing to give this a second shot. And that's the road that I went down on, which was not a good road to go down on for a few reasons. Partially because we wound up seeing a therapist that I don't feel was right for us and didn't actually help. I think actually possibly made things worse. Um, be careful with your therapist. Not all of them are good. Anyway, that was the choice that I made. But in the process of making that decision, it was a very difficult decision to make. Um, and one of the things that was on my mind that kept factoring in as I turned things over in my head and tried to decide what to do was, am I able and willing to move out on my own right now? Like, am I willing? We were renting, so am I willing to break this lease or like figure out what that's going to involve? Like, who's going to pay for what and how are we going to get out of this lease? Which is one of the downsides of renting and one of the problems with our economy in general, but let's not go there. Um, and let me think. At the time, I was working and I believe I had enough money to support myself. I had been supporting myself before I had gotten to the relationship with him. I was paying rent while I was living with him, so I mention this because as that relationship continued, my financial situation got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Um, for various reasons I can get into at another time. But as I stayed in that relationship, my ability to leave and be on my own and be independent became non existent. Um, all of the problems that I had, which I don't feel like I was like, I mean, I had problems. Everybody has problems, right? But I had like trauma and stuff that wasn't resolved. But it wasn't like ever present in my life all the time, and it wasn't affecting me in a crazy way or anything. Like, it wasn't really like taking over my life. But as that relationship continued and things got worse in the relationship, things got worse for me personally as I attempted to deal with things and I was being re traumatized over and over again by things. Um, I lost my ability to be independent and I lost my ability to go out on my own. So when we finally did break up years later, I was not able to handle it in a good way. I did wind up having to move back in with a parent. It was not a good situation for me or my parent. Um, and in many ways, well, it took me a long time to get on my feet. So this is my place. It's a very small place. I'm living here alone now, except for my cat, obviously. And I'm happy. However, I'm still really not financially stable, although I'm getting there. This is why I went to school. If you watched my last video, thank you for watching, first of all. Second of all, thank you to everybody who commented. I like hearing from you guys. I've been trying to respond to everybody. I've been doing pretty good at that, unlike my past self. So I'm happy about that. Um, I'm here because I want to hear from you and I want to learn from you just as much as I teach you and see where you're at. And like, this gives me a sense, like I said, I'm living here alone. It gives me a sense of not being so alone. So thank you to everybody who's commenting. But I, I'm here now after years and years of hard work to get to this place. And I'm continuing to work hard to get further to a place where I'm totally financially stable and happy, with my life. Not that I'm not happy now, but I want to be like really happy and satisfied with my life. However, back then, I was not ready to just be thrust into having to move out and like figure things out for myself. I was not ready to be employed like the way that I had been in the past. I had phobias, I had all kinds of stuff going on, anxiety, trauma, all kinds of problems, right? Whereas when I first found out about this cheating issue, I was mostly okay. I was pretty stable and I had a great deal of independence and I was financially stable. So, what I'm trying to say here is if you find yourself in this situation now, or if you may find yourself in the future, like consider that this may happen to you. I didn't think it was going to happen to me, so, it can happen to anybody. Um, what I would tell myself, the person I was back then, is don't let the fear of having to figure out how you're going to move out and what you're going to do be a factor in your decision of what you're going to do. Now, I don't think I made a bad decision to make him to commit to therapy, which again, he did commit to that. Um, like I don't look back on it and say, "Oh, I was so foolish." But now living the life that I have since then, I definitely would tell myself like, do not let that factor in at all. If you don't feel good, leave. Get out of there. You will find the resources that you need. Look for them. Even if you are not. Well, I have a few things to say about this. Again, this is kind of off the top of my head, and like I was thinking a little bit before I pushed the button, but um, if you have some hesitation about this, and if you're already like a little bit fearful, anxious, and stuff, you're my feeling is that you're probably not even ready for a relationship. Um, Even though you're in one, and like I'm not saying people can't do it, but to be in a healthy relationship, it really takes, I know you've probably heard this a million times, but it takes at least two people. Sometimes people go for more, and we can talk about that another time. Um, but it takes at least two people who are whole and happy, healthy individuals in themselves, like meeting together. When you yourself do not feel like you're able to cope with life, um, you're only going to bring that um, anxiety, frustration, depression, whatever, however it shows up for you, you're going to bring that with you into a relationship. You're probably going to pair up with somebody who also has their own issues, and the two of you together are just going to be struggling alone, let alone getting together and struggling together. So, in my opinion, you should probably work on that first. Now, if you're already in a relationship, what are you going to do? Um, Start looking for resources. Look for individual therapy. See, I think one of the mistakes that I made was that I went straight into a couples therapy, and that therapist did not really want to see us alone. Later on, we did see one who would see us alone, and I felt a lot better about that. but this couples therapist did not do that. And so I couldn't really talk about myself and the issues that I was having because he was always there. My partner at the time was always there next to me. So I couldn't really have like the benefits of therapy. But anyway, look for resources. You know, the job that I have now, for example, they don't like really show it off or like talk about it a lot, but you can get some counseling sessions through the job that I'm working at right now. And it's just like a regular retail job. I'm not saying that's going to be the case for everybody, but try. Like if you have a job, find it, look, go on your resources website, whatever it is that you guys have, see what's available. Um, if you're not happy at your job, maybe look for a job where this is a benefit. um, I guess the main thing is like again, if you're not coping so well with life to begin with, like that should be your number one priority, not saving your relationship. Because you're never, even if you save your relationship, you're not going to have a fulfilling relationship until you are able to cope with life as an independent person by yourself. So I would say make that the number one priority. And I would tell myself in the past, like, you need to work on that right now. So, like, let this go. If it's meant to be, it'll come back. That was never meant to be, and it dragged out way longer than it should have. But for me in my life, I probably would be way further ahead in my life right now if I had not made that decision to stay. If I had admitted to myself that I did not like the what went down and that I should not have accepted that, then I would have moved out. I would have been on my own. I never would have had all the hardships that I had throughout the years. I probably wouldn't be where I am now today. I'd probably be way further along. So it's like a lot of lost time and stuff. And though my life is fine, you know, I'm not complaining about any of it, but we're all here for like a limited amount of time, right? Like let's enjoy the most of what we can and let's just be the best people we can be. Let's be the happiest people we can be. So I feel like I'm just rambling on here, which I tend to do, and I don't like to make these like super long videos and it's just the way I am, I guess. I don't know. So I'm gonna try to cut it short here. But don't let the fear of moving out be a factor in whether you stay in a relationship or not. If it is a factor, you might want to consider leaving the relationship specifically to prove to yourself that you can do this while you have all your bearings and while you are still mentally stable and feeling good, because you might wind up like me where things just continue to go downhill and it becomes harder and harder and harder, and then you start to feel like you're stuck in a relationship. You know, a lot of people, if you have issues similar to what I've had, you had trauma, people who have had trauma get comfortable, right? You feel safe. You make a little bubble, and that might be your home. And then you don't want to move your home because it's like you're popping the bubble or something. But if your bubble is a place of pain and anxiety and depression and everything else, it's worth popping. It's worth creating a new bubble somewhere else. So consider that. Um, Again, look for the resources that are going to help you. Look for the people that are going to help you. You will find strangers. You will find things. If you make a really strong effort, you will find things. Believe me, there are people, there are organizations, there are websites. I know how frustrating it is, and I know that not everybody has the same equality of resources. But if you're gonna survive, and that's the name of the game when it comes to life, you have to go at it. You have to try and get yourself out of a situation that's not making you happy. So that's my recommendation. I feel like there's so much more I want to like pour out onto you, but again, I feel like it's just going to come out as rambling. So anybody who's been in this situation before, whether you moved out or not, I'd like to hear from you in the comments. Tell me like what happened. What's your story, in other words? Did you make like what I feel was a mistake for me? Did you do the same thing and get stuck somewhere? Do you feel like you're stuck somewhere right now and you're not able to get out? You can. Believe me, you can. Everybody can. But if you feel that way, feel free to share that. Do you have a happy story? Did you have somebody that you left and you have no regrets and you're happy that they're out of your life? I want to hear all of it. Share it with me. I hope everybody's doing well, and hopefully I'll hear from you soon. I'm liking this like more casual, no pressure on me to make like a super catchy, exciting video because I just can't do that in my life right now. But thank you.